Hey guys, this is a proprioception activity that I'm doing here with Wells. He has never done this particular activity. We've done some stepping over poles, but today what I'm working on is getting him to step backwards over a pole. I've been working a lot on backing up with him as a way to strengthen his hind end. And so my first try, I step him all the way over. I'd actually wanted him to stop sooner, but he was very energetic. And you can see he does okay, but kind of knocks into the pole. And right before this, I had just reinforced his backing up to make sure that that was really clear. That's something I always like to do when I'm doing a more challenging backup activity. So he did okay right there. I have the gym mat down on the ground to kind of give him a visual to encourage straightness. I don't mind if he goes on the mat, but I'm not asking him to do that because that'll make it actually a little more challenging. So now because he knocked into it a couple times, he's a little more wary of the pole, which is fine. I actually want him to be thinking about the pole because that's going to be, give him the feedback to then do what I want him to do, which is pick his legs up to go backwards over the pole. Typically when a horse backs up, they kind of drag their feet a little bit, and that's not what I want here. So here he's definitely hesitating. He's giving me some like really good crunches and some good like weight shifts back, which I actually really like. And I clicked that because it was just a really good weight shift, even though he didn't actually take a step. And so he's sidestepping, which tells me he is not wanting to back up over the pole, which is totally fine. It's a little scary for them. It's not something they do very often. And it's easier when they have just walked right over it because then they kind of have had the chance to memorize where it is in relation to their body. So I'm just asking him to back up on the regular ground there, again, to kind of reinforce that and give him something different to do, give him a little win that he can do really well. And so here I'm going to try to take it slower going forward. He really likes pawing at things. And there I tried to click before he came all the way over, but he still made it over with all 4 feet. He stepped on the pole and kind of flipped it up at himself, but none of those things are bad. This is all him just kind of figuring out where the pole is in relation to his body and where, how he needs to move his body in order to be able to navigate around the pole. So this is very much an activity of experimentation, and that's how they learn. He doesn't learn how to do it by doing it perfectly the first time. He learns how to do it by knocking into it and kind of almost like he's feeling his way through, which is literally what he's doing. So I adjusted the mat a little bit to give him a little bit more space where he didn't have to be on the mat in order to back up. And there I got just 1 foot over, which is great. So now we can kind of break it down a little bit further, which is what I should have done in the beginning, but he was kind of rushing forward over the pole. And so we're just reinforcing that 1 foot over, and then before he forgets that that pole is there, that 1 foot back. And you can hear in my voice that I do a lot of talking to my horses and a lot of encouraging. I don't know that that helps, but I think it does. I feel like they take a lot from our tone, and I'm really trying to keep it very positive and encouraging. When they don't get it perfect, that's not a time to get frustrated. That's a time to realize that learning is taking place. And so now we're doing 2 feet over.
Almost. Come on. You got it. You can do it. Pick it up higher.
And you can see he's hesitant.
You got it.
And he feels that pull, and then he gets around it. So that's where we're seeing some learning happen.
Pick it up higher. There you go.
And he stepped over it that time, but he knocked into it a little bit.
Forward. Yep. Good.
So we get 2 feet again.
And now back up. Come on. You got it.
And he's kind of feeling for the pole. I think he feels it right there.
Yes.
Gets all the way over, and I get really excited.
And one more. Really high.
And so that one, he didn't quite get it,
Good boy.
but that's okay. I'm going to reset the pole. And I stuck with this maybe a little longer than you might want to. I didn't see any signs of him getting frustrated. He was still really willing to try.
Boy, big step. You got it. Yes.
So there he did it really well with that right hind and or right front, and we'll see if this left front goes over. Not quite, but better. He's getting the hang of it a little bit, and he's not freaking himself out as much. You can definitely tell he's still willing to keep trying and working on it.
Big step. Come on. Oh, so close. Come on. Big step.
So he felt it there and then stopped before rolling that pole. Gets over with the
Yes.
right front and then rolls it with the left front, but it was still a little better. I don't think he was dragging it quite as much. So there he stood
That was a choice.
on the very end of the pole and
Good boy.
kind of tipped it up into the air. Anytime the horses do something funny like that, where they're like balancing on the pole or end up in an awkward position, I almost always reward it because I want them to understand that it is, the experimenting part is okay. Finnick will often stand directly on top and balance on a pole, which I think is pretty epic that he can do that. So he gets rewarded for that usually, even though that might not be the exact goal. But really the goal of an activity like this is not perfection, it's exploration. And that's exactly what's happening here. Especially when he does things like halfway step on the pole or crash into it or whatever. That's all exploration.
You got it. Come on, big step.
And a lot of times when they struggle with something like this, if you come and do it again later,
Yes.
they will have learned. We got the hind legs there and he barely touched it, which is awesome.
Hey, you're such a problem solver. Keep going.
I enjoy leaving my
Big step.
real-time commentary in here as well because I just feel like I say funny things to them.
You got it.
So that wasn't great,
Big step. Come on.
but I'm encouraging him because again,
Yes.
it's all just a learning process.
Good.
And he's definitely going through a lot more calmly and less frantic than when we first started.
You got it.
He's feeling pretty confident.
Boy.
We got all 4 feet
Here
over.
we go. You got it. Back up. Back up.
And he's kind of
Huh?
feeling
Going.
for it.
You got it. You got it. Just feel your way.
He's not so sure.
Yes. Keep going.
And he stood on it. But he did okay.
Yes.
And we got
Good boy.
not quite all 4 feet over without touching, but pretty close. And again, still perfectly willing to keep trying. And I love how big he's stepping over it on the way forward.
Here we go. Back up.
When you can catch them right after,
Big step.
a lot of times they'll take that same big step back, which he didn't do right there, but he did with that foot.
Yes.
We got our hind feet clear,
Yes.
and that was his best time through for
boy.
sure.
Get a treat dump.
So we can tell he's definitely
Good boy,
learning.
Wells. Good boy.
So I'm ending the session here. I absolutely love this type of work. But I want you to not get discouraged if you do something like this and you don't see immediate improvement within your session, because sometimes they have to struggle with it for a little bit and maybe they get frustrated and you need to take a break. But know that latent learning is happening and they're going to process this, and the next time you come at it, especially if you keep it really rewarding and really positive, the next time that you come at it, they're going to have extrapolated information from the first session, and when they come back, it's going to be even better. It's hard to not push through for that like perfect moment to end on, and I do it too, but if you can keep it light and keep it rewarding and stop before they get frustrated, they are going to improve so much. And also just be excited when learning is taking place and not necessarily when they're improving or getting better. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you can take it and use it with your horses.